on, ladies and gentlemen? Today I got a special episode for y'all. Today we're going to be doing the top 10 freshman prospects for the 2025 NBA draft. Now we're going to be reacting to the Bleacher Report list, and we're going to be making our own today. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while now, and then I saw Bleacher Report post an article, so I'm like, why not kill two birds with one stone? So we're going to start off with the Bleacher Report article. All right, so Bleacher Report's 24-25 men's college basketball freshman of the year rankings. And we have a picture of Cooper Flagg, of course. Now, we're going to be doing a little bit of reading. We're not going to be doing a lot of reading, but some of the players I'm not that familiar with, I will be doing a lot of reading. So guys like, let's see if we can just scroll through here real quick. Robert Wright III. Haven't really been too into his game. Have been into VJ Edgecombe. Now, when you guys ask, these guys play for the same team. How are you into VJ Edgecombe and now Robert White? Now, I do watch a lot of college basketball, but I do not watch games all the way through. I watch a lot of possessions, and Robert Wright just hasn't been on my radar. So, Jaden Quintonance, I've heard of him. Jaeger Demon not being on the list is crazy. Anyway, let's start. Let's actually start. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to make myself just a little smaller so we can see all the words. Okay, let's do it. The freshman class for the 2024-2025 men's college basketball season was hyped almost to the point where it seemed impossible for it to live up to the expectations. But for the most part, it has, and then some. Our top 10 freshmen, roughly one-third of the way through the regular season, are ranked based on combination of individual production and team success. Contrary to the consideration of the National Player of the Year trophies, like the Wooden Award, though one needn't play for the title contender in order to have a real shot of winning this one. Oklahoma was the number 10 seed when Trae Young was named the USBWA National Freshman of the Year in 2018, and LSU was missing the tournament altogether, didn't keep Ben Simmons from winning in 2016. Team success is much more of a potential bonus than a prerequisite. I'm sorry, I can't read. So while Rutgers' Dylan Harper was considered by many to be a snub from our early of the year National Player of the Year rankings, rest assured that he is comfortably in the top 3 here. One thing that doesn't factor into the rankings, though, is the NBA draft stock. It might be mentioned where applicable, but by no means should it be viewed as some kind of draft big board of top freshmen, though the vast majority of our top 10 will at least be in the mix of a lottery pick. Statistics are current through the start of play by Wednesday, December 18th. Okay, so first thing I want to say is I have my list based off that as well. This is truly based off of how you are playing for your college as of right now. Even though a guy like Kaman Malak, I think, has the intangibles to be a top 15 pick or to maybe even be a top 10 pick, he will not be in my top 10 list. Boogie Fland, who is somebody I have in my top 10 list, I don't see going top 10 in the draft. Somebody like, as a matter of fact, let me look at this list one more time before so I have a lot of guys in this list that may not go as high as some players who are ranked lower than them, but they are currently playing better in the collegiate level. Because when we look at prospects and how they're supposed to be getting into the NBA and how NBA teams look at them, it's not necessarily about you being the best player. Because if we look back at a guy like Luka Garza, who was dominant in college and didn't get picked in the first round of the draft that he was in, I forget which draft. A guy like Zach Edey, who was the best player in college for about 2 seasons and fell out of the top 5. So when we look at prospects, we more look at intangibles and skill set and height and weight and wingspan and speed and the measurements. We look at all those things when we look at players in their draft stock. That does not matter when it comes to being the top 10 freshmen on the board. Okay, so let's get into it. At number 10, and I'm not even going to say number 10, this is the honorable mention. So VJ Edgecombe for Baylor and Robert Wright III. Now, VJ Edgecombe is a perfect example, somebody who's probably going to be a top 6, top 7 pick in this year's draft, but just has not been playing as well as some of the players that I have on my list. So VJ Edgecombe is a very athletic, pesky wing defender that can get up and down the floor in transition, is a great offensive rebounder, can guard multiple positions, has great hands, can handle the ball pretty well in pick and roll, but he just has not been shooting the ball well, and his offensive game has been really lacking this season so far, which would make him or push him out of the top 10 as of right now. So there's going to be multiple players on this list that I probably wouldn't take above VJ Edgecombe in a draft, but there are players playing a lot better than him, specifically freshmen. So starting with VJ Edgecombe, while not quite on the same level as last year's Kentucky duo of Reed Shepherd and Rob Dillingham, Baylor's dynamic duo of first-year phenoms has been putting in work. Wright scored 22 points in a loss at UConn, in which Edgecombe didn't play, and had 13 dimes last week against Norfolk State. Edgecombe put up 20 in the loss to Tennessee and has been a rim-rattling stat sheet stuffer. Had we ranked more than just 10, these Bears might have been numbers 11 and 12. Okay, Jaden Quintance out of Arizona State, averaging 8.4 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, 3.5 blocks per game, and 2 assists per game with a steal and a half a game. The Suns Devil are still figuring out how to utilize Quintance on an offense, making out of a 14 points in a game thus far. He has been a relentless force in the paint, through with multiple blocks in all 10 games, as well as 60 rebounds over the last 6 contests. He's already quite good and might really level up his game at some point within the next few weeks. I was trying to hurry up and pause the recording before I did my hiccup/burp, but we're going to keep it in. Anyway, Jaeger Demon, who is somebody I have in my top 10. Now, Jaeger Demon kind of started out really hot. He started out really high. He was shooting the ball well. He was playmaking. He was getting to the rim. And a lot of people had him mocked as high as 3. Now, I don't know if I would put Jaeger Demon at 3, even though in my latest mock draft I had him at 3. But to really run it back, because I did that mock draft a little while ago, but we're not going to talk about it. Over the past few games, Jaeger Demon has struggled, and we kind of saw this coming just because of the change of competition that he was going to be playing as of late. As a matter of fact, let's just look at his past few games. All right, perfect example. Now, is this his? This is not his college stats. Okay, let's go back. These actually are his college stats. I'm tripping. Anyway, in his last 5 games against Providence, which is a good team, NC State, which is a good team, Mississippi, which is a good team, 6 points on 0 for 5 from 3, and he only took 5 threes. Well, no, he didn't. He took 5 2-pointers and 5 threes. He could not score. He got to the free throw line 3 times, and he scored all 6 of his points from there. Let's look at the win against NC State. He had 8 points, 4 fouls, about 4 assists, 11 rebounds, which is really intriguing, and had about 2 turnovers. 5 turnovers against Mississippi with 16 points. Idaho, 16 points, 7 assists. So you can see the upside is there, but there could be some type of restraint when we look at his athleticism and how he can create against more athletic defenders, which is he's going to see a lot of in the NBA. So I can see why he fell a little bit, but I wouldn't say he fell completely off the list. So let's go back to the list here, and let's see. Will Riley, who's averaging 13.5 points per game, 4.2 rebounds per game, and 1.5 assists per game on 37% from the 3. This guy is a lethal scorer. He's about 6'8", 6'9". He's extremely lengthy. He's really skinny. I would love to see him get his weight up a little bit, but he does get a lot of offensive rebounds and putbacks. He does have some type of decent half-court creation game when it comes to finding his spots and getting to his spots. He has a very high release point. So some of those things I like. We're going to read the paragraph real quick. Because he played professionally in Croatia before landing at Illinois, Ivisic was docked a year of eligibility and is technically a sophomore as far as the NCAA is concerned, but his first year big man has been a double-double machine, while Riley has averaged better than 22 points per 40 minutes off the bench. Both are strong freshman of the year candidates, though not as strong as the third member of the class that we will be getting into later. Yes, we will be getting to him later. Thomas Sorber from Georgetown, averaging about 15.5 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, 2.5 assists per game, 2 blocks, and 1.5 steals. This is another guy that I'm not that familiar with, but this is easily the most out-of-left field player among the 20 here, as Sorber was neither a 5-star recruit nor is Georgetown particularly relevant. The Hoyas do already look a whole lot better than the past 3 years, though, and Sorber, who entered Wednesday's game against Creighton, leading the team in points, rebounds, and blocks, has been a massive part of their ascension back into the Chem Pop Top 100. Okay, we're going to skip this guy from Auburn. I'm sorry. If you're a true fan of him, I apologize. I'll do a little bit more research on him. Con Knipple out of Duke. This is somebody who I have missing the top 10. Con Knipple is probably going to be a top 10 pick in the NBA draft, but he has not been a top 10 type of player out of all freshmen this season. Now, he is averaging about 11.6 points per game, 3.6 rebounds per game, and 3 assists per game on 32% from 3. Respectable stats play here, but Knipple has gone 6 for 32, which is 18.8% from three-point range in Duke's 5 games against major conferences foes. Between that and the fact that it's hard to hold a candle to what teammate Cooper Flagg is doing, just an honorable mention for now. Now, we are going to talk about Con Knueppel because this is a guy who predicates his game off of a lot of three-point shooting, whether it's off-ball movement, spot up, or off the dribble. He does have a very fast release, which is something I like, and he is a very lethal off-ball player. I think that is going to translate to the NBA perfectly. He attacks closeouts pretty well, but this is something that I kind of saw from him coming into the season. I was really worried about the athleticism and how he could be able to get around defenders. But the off-ball play has been really good for me, and he is really strong, and he does play very physically. But once again, the same thing I had with Jaeger Demon is the athleticism is going to be a problem, especially when you're not the greatest on-ball creator, when you're going to be going up against a lot more athletic players at the higher level you get to. So the shooting over the past 5 games against these top-ranked conferences is not something that really bothers me, because we know shooters who shoot the ball a lot are going to have cold streaks, but as long as you keep shooting and you're staying around league average, you're going to be fine. I think Con Knueppel is still going to be a top 15 pick in the draft. Labaron Feline out of Alabama is somebody I've really grown to like out of Alabama, and as a freshman is probably going to be drafted around the 17th to 22nd pick this season. He's averaging about 11 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists on 1.3 steals per game. On Mark Steer's infamous scoreless night against Illinois, Feline had a monster performance, going for 16 points, 9 assists, and 7 rebounds as the Crimson Tide won 100-87. That alone almost got him into the top 10, but his combined 5 points and 4 assists, 4 rebounds, and 7 turnovers in the next 2 games against Houston and Rutgers brought him back to earth a bit. Now, I can understand that. Labaron Feline is a guy who I love his creation in the half court. I love the signs of defense that he shows, and I really see a lot of Anthony Black. If you take away the playmaking, I do not think he is the playmaker that Anthony Black was at the collegiate level, but I do see the defensive upside. I do see the transition play. I do see the slashing. Those are things that you are going to value as a guy that's coming into the draft. Is that going to be a guy that gets the whole team built around him as a lead guard? I don't believe so. But if that is going to be somebody that you have coming off your bench, maybe learning behind a lead guard, I would like that a lot more. I do like the rim pressure he puts on the rim. He does have a little bit of struggle in it as a three-point shooter, but the defense is something I look at, the rim pressure is something I look at, and the transition play is something that I look at as well. So let's keep pushing. Okay, at number 10, we have our first candidate in Asa Newell. I have him a little bit higher. Him a little bit higher. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell my list as we go along. So at number 10, just to let you guys know, I have Liam McNeely. I have Liam McNeely at number 10, but we're going to talk about Asa Newell right now, and I have Asa Newell at number 9. So I have him higher, but not that much higher. Asa Newell is putting up about 16 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, 1.3 assists, and 1.2 blocks. They put assists twice. Wow. 5 for 23 from 3. Okay, MVP performance is 26 points, 11 rebounds, 3 blocks, 0 turnovers versus Tennessee on November 4th. The highly touted Asa Newell made quite the first impression with a stat line above on opening night in a game Georgia needed every last bit of, only winning against Ken Pop, number 342 Tennessee Tech by 5 points. The Bulldogs have since looked much better, sitting at 9-1 with just a loss to Marquette against them. Newell struggled a bit in that one, but he had 14 points, 7 rebounds in the road win over Georgia Tech, 18-5 in the neutral victory over St. John's, and went for 20-11 in blowing out Notre Dame as part of the ACC-SEC Challenge. Early on, it looked like Newell was going to be hosting. Okay, we're just going to talk about Asa Newell here because I'm not going to keep reading that every single time a player gets brought up. I think Asa Newell is a great player. I think he plays center right now, but I truly believe he is a power forward. This is somebody who plays really well in transition, has really good defensive upside, whether it's stepping out to the perimeter or blocking shots. I think he would get or should get a little bit better as a rebounder and as a glass cleaner, but I think that's going to get a lot better once his frame starts to strengthen up a little bit. But he does have some tendencies of taking shots at the three-point line, but I think that's going to be taken out of his game once he gets to the NBA level. He's probably going to be a screen and roller or like a spread pick and roll guy, somebody who could probably play in the dunker spot a lot and be a transition threat. But the three-point shooting has not been there, but the rebounding, it's been okay at the collegiate level. I think he's going to struggle at the NBA level. The scoring inside has been really good, but as much as that, once again, I had him at number 9. Boogie Fland, or as a matter of fact, let's just talk about who I had at number 9, which is Asa Newell. At number 10, I had Liam McNeely. Boogie Fland for Arkansas, who I had where did I have Boogie Fland? Taking a look at this. I had him right outside the top 10. I had him at number 11. I had him at number 11, averaging 15.5 points, 6 assists per game, and 4 rebounds per game with about 2 steals, 21 for 53 from 3. Okay, to talk about Boogie Flan real quick, he is an extremely electric shot creator. Extremely electric with the ball in his hand. Now, I don't want to really talk about his draft stock as much, and I really want to just talk about the play of Boogie Flan. He does hold on to the ball a lot. I do not believe he is the best off-ball scorer as of right now. He does show some peskiness defensively. He does get to the rim really well, and he's an extremely solid, tough shot maker and taker. So those things would make it really electric, and the fact that you have the ball in your hands so much would lead to a lot of points. And Boogie Flan has been impressive, but do I have him in my top 10? No, I do not. Okay, up next we have Ace Bailey, which at number 8 it's really upsetting because when you look at the numbers, 18 points per game, 7 rebounds, 13 of 37 isn't really the best. I think that's his total three-pointers this season, which is, I think that's just under 50%. That's probably like low, high 30s, probably like 37% if you want to be completely honest. Let's take a look. Okay, so I was just off. It's about 35%, if you guys can see that. But anyway, I really think Ace Bailey is starting to get a little underrated. I really do. I really do start to think that Ace Bailey is getting a little underrated just because of what people thought he was going to be coming into the season. And people were expecting somebody that could rival Cooper Flagg, and a lot of people came into the season thinking he was the better player on this Rutgers team, me included. But once again, if we just spoil the list real fast, I think he's playing up there with Trey Johnson. Jeremiah Fears has been lighting the league on fire. Let's not give. He's definitely been playing better than Liam McNeely. I'm not gonna lie, and I think he's been playing better than Derek Queen. Just to spoil it, I have Ace Bailey at number 5. I have Ace Bailey at number 5. We're gonna get into our list and we're going to explain it even more. But Ace Bailey at number 8, it's kind of starting to get a little aggravating. People are saying, "Oh, Ace Bailey doesn't move me. Ace Bailey doesn't move me." When we look at drafting and how guys are playing, now one thing Ace Bailey does do is turn the ball over, and he struggles in the half court. Let's call a spade a spade. He struggles in the half court. He does have problems reading the floor. He can get stuck into taking these tough shots at times. But there is a world where Ace Bailey can become the best scorer in this draft. And I said this in my last mock draft. There are a lot of things to like from Ace Bailey, and he's still putting up 18 points per game. He's still having these really good performances where he's lighting the league on fire from 3. He's getting out in transition. He's finishing at the rim. So when we look at Ace Bailey and I say he has not been exactly what I thought he would be, that does not mean he has been playing bad. I still think he's been really good. Obviously, 8th in the top 10 freshmen across the entire NCAA. That's not bad whatsoever. But once again, I think we are underrating him just because he may not be what we thought he would be initially. I'm going to talk about Ace Bailey a little bit more in a future video because once again, I'm trying to become a better scout every single day. But that's my thoughts on Ace Bailey as of right now. Next up, we got Trey Johnson. Trey Johnson has been playing phenomenally. Once again, I had him at number 4. I had Ace Bailey at number 5. So I had Trey Johnson right above Ace Bailey. So Trey Johnson has just been a fantastic scorer, and he's been extremely efficient. 29 for 67 from 3. That's just under 50%. That's probably like 41, 42%, just spitballing off the top of my head. And he's been a true 3-level scorer, whether it's getting downhill and getting to the rim, playing in the mid-range, playing outside the arc. He does not have that much of a playmaking bone inside of his body, but I think that is something that's going to come with time because a lot of young players are not the best at reading the floor. But I've seen him score out of the post. I've seen him score off ball. I've seen him score in isolation. There are a lot of things that he can do offensively when we're talking about just scoring the ball. And that's going to be very intriguing, and it's going to be very intriguing to see how he carries that out through the rest of the season because he's been really good. I think 7 is too low. So Trey Johnson right here. Once again, I had Trey Johnson at 4. Up next, we got Jeremiah Fears. Jeremiah Fears, man. Jeremiah Fears has been one of the more surprising prospects to me because he wasn't on my radar at all. coming into the season. And the fact that he's been able to be such a high volume shot creator and shot maker, and whether it's creating his own shot, being a spot up shooter, getting to the rim and getting to the free throw line, those things are really intriguing, and it's just so fun to watch him. 16 points per game, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 2.5 steals. He's shooting about 33% roughly, maybe 31% from three. This is just a guy that really can take on the volume for a team like Oklahoma, and he's playing really well. So shout out to Jeremiah Fears. I had him at number 6, I believe. Yep, I have him at number 6. Anyway, Liam McNeely, who I think is too high, I had him at number 10. I think Liam McNeely has been doing a solid job for the UConn Huskies. I think he's been doing really good. About 13.5 points per game, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 19 of 56 from 3. So he's going to let it fly. That's his job. With his height, with his athleticism, and he does pretty good at getting downhill. Now, I do believe that he does not have any creativity with his dribble moves when he does get downhill. It can get a little one-dimensional when it's just pound, 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 one hand. I don't know if that's something I'm just picking up on or everybody has been seeing this, but we're going to read this real quick. After Liam McNeely's sensational performance against Gonzaga, Madison Square Garden, UConn head coach Dan Hurley gave a statement of the very high praise of the freshman star. Liam McNeely was born to replace Cam Spencer. Spencer was a non of last year's championship team, hitting big buckets time and time again while leading the team in both steals and grit. And McNeely has ascended to the throne for the three-peat seekers. Yeah, I think Liam McNeely has been great, but this is just a little too high for me. At number 4, we have Derek Queen, who is averaging 17 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 2.2 assists per game with 1.2 steals and 1.1 blocks. MVP performance for Derek Queen was 26 points per game, 12 rebounds, and 2 blocks against Purdue. Pretty solid performance. Okay, so if we read this here, it's going to say MVP performance, 26, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks at Purdue, which is a really good team. Maryland has had some super talented freshmen bigs over the past decade, but none of them burst onto the scene quite like Derek Queen. 10 games, Diamond Stone, Jalen Smith. Queen immediately asserted his dominance with 22 points and 20 rebounds in his collegiate debut against Manhattan before adding 3 more double-doubles in his 6th, 9th, and 10th games, each of the latter 3 coming against major conference competition. Also, Queen also put up 24.7 rebounds and 3 assists and 2 blocks in a narrow loss to Marquette, unable to quite make up for Cam Jones' heroics for the Golden Eagles. With 10 games in, marks a 17.5 point, 9 rebounds, not to mention with an impressive 2.5 assists for a guy who could just try to bowl his way to the rim on a regular basis. Yeah. Derek Queen has been very dominant around the rim. He has been very dominant, very good rebounder. A lot of good things I can say about Derek Queen. He's been great. Up next, we have Kasparas Yakuchonis at number 3. And this is where I have Kasparas Yakuchonis because I think he's been phenomenal. With the off-ball play, the three-point shooting, the pick-and-roll creation, whether it's passing or scoring out of the pick-and-roll, he's been great. There's been a little things that I can just critique him for. Sometimes I feel like he holds onto the ball a little bit too long. Sometimes I believe he just creates things or tries to create things that are just not there, which could be a strike against him. But other than that, man, he's been really good. He's been the best player on this team. About 24 points per 16 points per game, 6 rebounds, and almost 6 assists with a steal and a half a game, and just under 50% from 3, shooting about 40-something%. I would say, this is about 42%. This is easy. Anyway, through the first 5 games, he averaged more assists per game than field goal attempts, going from a combined total of 51 points and 33 dimes, including a near triple-double, 12 points, 13 assists, and 8 rebounds against SIU Edwardsville. Yakuchonis scored at least 20 points in each of his next 5 games, though, with a combined total of 110 points and 23 assists, including another near triple-double in 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists. Yeah, this is going to be somebody who can do it all, and I can't wait to watch more of Kasparas Yakuchonis. Up next, we obviously have Dylan Harper, who I have at number 2. Like, come on now. Come on. Dylan Harper has been phenomenal. He's been phenomenal. Just being able to be so crafty around the rim, playing that in-between game, and he gets to the free throw line a lot. So far, he's averaging 23 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists on 20 from 55 from 3. That's just under 50% if you can believe. I think that may be high 30s, low 40s. 37 points, 2 steals, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds versus Alabama. That was a really good game, by the way. If we can temporarily ignore the fact that that one plays for a title contender and the other plays for a team that isn't even on the projected bubble right now, it's a real 1A, 1B situation between Duke's Cooper Flagg and Rutgers' Dylan Harper for Freshman of the Year. And I can't lie. I believe Dylan Harper has been really good this year. I mean, big shocker, hot take. Dylan Harper has been really good this year. But I don't think I really understood the level of how he could be good. You know, just being able to score at a volume that he is for the Rutgers team night in and night out, being able to create shots for himself, being able to get downhill, being able to change his pace or change his direction so effortlessly and get to the free throw line and be a crafty finisher around bigger defenders and hit mid-range shots. Now, the three-point shot is a little concerning for me. I do believe he has a low release point, which could kind of get his shot blocked a little bit at the higher level. But once again, this is not scouting. This is just how players are playing as of right now. And Dylan Harper has been phenomenal. He's been phenomenal. And at number 1, we have Cooper Flagg, which once again, I do not believe the gap is as big as a lot of people were going to think it would have been this season. I do think Dylan Harper does a lot well, and he does play very good against highly ranked teams. I think he played great against Auburn, even though Isaiah Evans kind of stole his thunder when he came out and hit 6 threes. I stood up. I remember I was in North Carolina for kind of like a weekend getaway with my wife, and I stood up in my drawers and pumped my chest when Isaiah Evans came into the game and made all those threes. But Cooper Flagg has been phenomenal offensively and defensively. A lot of people say that he is a little rough around the red edges offensively, which I can agree. He does have a great touch around the rim. He does get to the rim relentlessly, and he does play the pick and pop game pretty well. And I think he's going to be able to attack closeouts really well out of the pick and pop as well. And he does have a high release point when it comes to his jump shot that I believe is going to be very hard to block. And the intensity he plays with it's undeniable, and it's almost unmatching. And Cooper Flagg is a phenomenal player, man. He's a great player. Now let's get into my top 10. I'm really going to run through my top 10 pretty quickly just because I kind of talked about all the players that are going to be in my top 10. But at number 1, I have Cooper Flagg. I already spoke about this. At number 2, I have Dylan Harper. At number 3, I have Kasparis Yakutronis. At number 4, I have Trey Johnson. At number 5, I have Ace Bailey. At number 6, I have Jeremiah Fears. At number 7, I have Derek Queen. At number 8, I have Jaeger Demon. At number 9, I have Asa Newell. And at number 10, I have Liam McNeely. I even went as far as 15 so you guys can know where my honorable mentions were ranked. At number 11, I have Boogie Fland. At number 12, I have VJ Edgecombe. At number 13, I have LeBaron Phelan. At number 14, I have Will Riley. And at number 15, I have Con Knipple, with even more honorable mentions in Thomas Sorber and Kaman Malak. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys like this type of content, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of the top 10 from Bleacher Report and my top 10 in the comment section, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.